All right, so let's go over this one more time. So as I just explained, I modified the error handler for MicroDB to render the template in place right here as opposed to redirection, because it is easier for us to use. Because if there's a problem, you fix it, you just refresh the page as opposed to having to retype the URL again and again. And yeah, I set the response manually to 500, which means it's an internal server error. Then I get the object that can render a twig template, which was the trick. This was the tricky part, figuring out how the heck do I do that, right? And then I die with a string. So this returns a string, which is the whole page, right? And I print it out and I stop the script. And that's it. You can still use the redirection if you absolutely insist. I removed the URL handler though. If you do like the redirection, you could do that, but I'm not a big fan of this. All right, so that's one thing. Second, did you guys find out printr yet? Printr is probably the best way of debugging things in PHP. It stands for print recursive. And the way you do that is, this is actually how I figure out how, well, what I need to do in here. It can print out contents of, well, any variable really. So I'll give you an example here. Let's just try this. Since we're playing with this code anyway. Let's just do that. The way I usually do that is without the die part. That's just special for this one. Let's say I want to know what's in params, right? And I can't, well, we don't know how to put a debugger and stop here, right? In this line, I want to know what's in params. So in Java, I would, put a breakpoint on the first line, run the program. In the debugger, I would be able to see what's inside of the variable. Now, don't get me wrong, you can do that in VS Code as well, right? You could just do VS Code, PHP, debug. Yes, you can do that too. That's not quite it. We want VS Code, yeah. Visual Studio Code, yes, exactly. Oh yeah, that is VS Code, yeah. So that's fine, and you're going to find out how to do it. You have to enable an extension in let me just show you this one. You're going to have to, probably it's not enabled, I suspect. Yeah, you're going to have to enable an extension. PHP ini should be xdebug. It may not be here. Yeah, you don't have to add a line here to enable xdebug, this extension for debugging. But anyway, I'm not a big fan of this because it's just annoying to use, so annoying to use the debugger that's in PHP. This is way, well, easier to use. So here's how you do that. You print R, that variable that you want to see. So here I got my params, right? And because the way it's printed out, it's best if you actually tell that this is a pre-formatted HTML, even if it isn't, because it's just a piece of text, right? Yeah, that's usually the way this works best. Okay. So I'll print it out. I pretend that this is a piece of pre-formatted HTML because I'm inside of HTML page, right? And then, well, I wouldn't normally stop here, but I'll do it because I don't want to run the rest of the of this code. Okay, but normally I would just do this when I want to look inside of a variable. Okay, let's do that. So I'll save this, and I think I have to mess up the yeah, I have to mess up the my index again. Let's just do that. Okay, reload. There we go. Okay. So now I finally don't have to rely on the teacher to tell me what's inside of that parameter, but rather I can actually look at it myself. Look at it. I didn't even know there was type SQL. Wow, that's actually new. I think they may have added that in the recent versions. Okay, code. That's an interesting one, right? And this is the query, and that's the error description, right? So now we know. Okay. All right. Any questions on the printer?